my county, or I don't know, specifically was considered the epicenter of New York.
Not following any COVID protocol, no social distancing. It's like a Bon Jovi concert, right? There's this stimulus check or the free money. It's very un-American, right? Because like
It's so
throughout your life,
hard.
like would you consider yourself as a rapper? If you want to have bridesmaid or best man or groomsman, put them to work, man. Because like otherwise, like don't have it.
I think what it is with those kind of people is that they keep their emotions tied with, if you want to have a political debate, have it maturely and keep the emotions at the door.
Gue pengen ngasih tahu nih, kalau lo pengen bikin podcast, gue saranin lo buat pakai Anchor. Anchor itu satu solusi untuk semua kebutuhan podcast. Mau rekam, hosting, hingga distribusi, semua bisa di Anchor. Dan yang paling penting nih, semuanya itu 100% gratis. Langsung aja buka anchor.fm/start. Sekali lagi di anchor.fm/start. Oke, lanjut.
You guys had it pretty bad in New York, right? You guys had the biggest case as a state out of the whole states in the US, right? And the highest COVID patient was in New York.
My area specifically, like my county, or I don't know what you really call it. They call it boroughs.
Boroughs,
like,
yeah, exactly.
Like my region specifically was considered the epicenter of New York.
Wow.
And it was kind of scary. I've actually lost a few friends, and my dad lost a lot of his friends. A lot of like the older population as well passed away, and it all happened so fast. And people were getting so desensitized to the deaths, to be honest, because it was happening at such a rapid rate where people were dying so fast. And it's like, oh man, what can we do? And even the funeral homes and the cemeteries couldn't even take all the people right away because it was just so packed. Like how many thousands of deaths were occurring every day, that they didn't have any space for cemeteries or the funeral homes. So it was definitely a sad thing to go through. And I mean, it's still coming on. I don't know if you know, but some other states here in the United States right now, such as like Texas and Florida, they're actually getting kind of like the second wave, as they call it, because they're getting it pretty late compared to when New York originally got it. New York right now, it's been going down a lot, which is good, but sadly the states like Texas and Florida and California are starting to see it heavily now.
I think something similar is happening over here because obviously the breakout started in Jakarta because everyone's here.
Yeah. So how is it over there? Actually, I'm kind of curious.
If you look at the numbers, right, and maybe we don't have it as much as in the US, right? I mean, I think total cases right now is at 40,000-50,000. I stopped listening after a few weeks back. But yeah, I mean, like compared to you guys had it like 1 million cases or more, so right?
Yeah,
but
over 2 million.
It still feels like something very scary. And the fear is probably the same level as like everyone all over the world, right? And what's scary is that like because it's happening so late with us, we actually see how other countries respond to it and see how the effects on how different countries handle COVID differently.
Right.
And unfortunately, what we're seeing is that we're seeing a trajectory going not so much in a favorable way. So like similar like what you said, right? You started in like the dense area like New York or Jakarta, and it spreads out to other states.
Right.
Like for your case to Texas, and our case to eastern part of like the island. And it gets really bad there. I mean, like we had it pretty bad in Jakarta, but because we had all the medical facilities here, so I think they handle it quite okay. Although we still got a lot of death compared to other countries.
Did Jakarta make like certain changes where like people had to wear masks when they go outside or anything?
Yeah, I mean that is definitely like the first thing that we had to do. I mean, we had some semi lockdown, like, and then we have to wear masks, and then basically all these restrictions are happening, right? And during the earlier days, right, that affected a lot of businesses, as I would say, especially like these businesses that there's these service companies that like travel and like hotels, like they got hit pretty quickly, right? Because everyone just went on full refund mode. They had to do this, and they have to close down. And then, but then like other businesses started closing down. But luckily, I work in an industry where they deem it as essential service, so we still operate and we still get revenue. So that's a bit of a relief because some companies have it pretty tough, right? A company as big as Gojek, like you mentioned Gojek before, right? They still have to lay off staff because I don't know if you know, but like Gojek is such a big company. They have services all around the places, right? Because they've expanded beyond.
When I was out in Indonesia.
Yeah, they've expanded beyond just like motorbikes, cars, and food delivery, right? You got all the like cleaning, massages, like tickets, and all that stuff, right? And then obviously once COVID hits, the only thing that works are the food deliveries, package deliveries, and sometimes transportation. But the massage service, cleaning service, those kind of thing, they got hit pretty hard, so they have to close down that division, right? So they still have to lay off people. But with all this like restriction going on, you still see a lot of people not following like COVID protocols, just like as simple as wearing masks and basic social distancing guidelines. I mean, this is gonna sound so stupid, right? But a few weeks back, the first McDonald's in Jakarta had to close down because of renovation or something, and because it was like the first McDonald's in the country, people were like going to that McDonald's just to see it being closed down, and basically not following any COVID protocol, no social distancing. It's like a Bon Jovi concert, right? Everyone just packed in, with all their flashlight, just like paying tribute to this fast food restaurant that, if you go to New York, it's basically every block you can find a McDonald's. But,
yeah, we have way too many McDonald's.
Yeah, but even in Jakarta, right? If you walk like 3 miles or take a cab for 10 minutes, you will see the next McDonald's, right? But I don't know, because this is the first McDonald's.
Is it the first McDonald's you said?
Yeah, it's the first McDonald's, and people have sentimental values, like how millennials and their sentimental values. It's like, and they went there and like trying to I don't know. That's one side of the thing, right? But then you have also the side where you have a lot of like a middle to lower class people in Indonesia, right? So, and most of them rely on daily income, and because of COVID, most of them do not have income. And so when government started easing up a strict regulation, saying that people can start selling in markets now, or people can start going places now, they cannot control the number of people, the influx of people going back to markets, traditional markets, and all those places, because that's where the commerce happens, right? I mean, if you're like a middle class or like upper middle class citizen in Jakarta, you won't realize this, right? Because you go to malls and you go to decent malls, right? And those malls aren't really packed even on normal days, but these traditional markets, even during normal days or like weekdays or weekends, they are always packed. And having COVID around did not help. So I think we had a spike of cases because of that as well. So it's,
I think it's, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
But like for like a lot of those like mom and pop businesses, you know what I mean by mom and pop?
Yeah.
Just like family owned businesses, like
yeah, exactly.
Were there any that permanently closed down due to the
Uh,
coronavirus?
I think some do, but I think the advantage of having a mom and pop store is that, especially in Jakarta, right? You get help a lot by technology, like especially by Gojek. If you're a mom and pop store that sells food, if you're connected to the Gojek food delivery app, that's it. You're good because people are still gonna order food from you. The problem is if you haven't really found a way to
Got you.
to connect through technology, right? You still rely on like people coming into your store, like visiting your store. That would be a problem, right? So I think, but people adapt quickly here. Like even like let's say like a coffee shop, right? Doesn't matter. It could be Starbucks, a big chain, or it could be a mom and pop owned. Yeah. When COVID happened, most of their business came from people coming into the stores, right, to have coffee and work there, right? But then people stopped coming there, so they started doing deliveries, right? And then first they started only selling like your typical coffee, like a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and all that. And then they started selling this version of like having a coffee in like a 1 liter bottle, so then like people can stock up at home. So it's they adapt to like the situation that like that COVID presents. So like, and it actually worked because like people do buy it. They buy coffee in bulk in like a 1 liter, 2 liter bottle, so they can they don't need to order it every day. So I mean, it's good for the consumer. It's good for the sellers as well because they save up on materials and all that. So yeah, so it's all about like how quickly can you adapt to the situation.
Right. And like I don't know if they do it in Indonesia, but like for the people here who are out of work for 3 months who weren't able to work from home, the American government was able to basically give free money in a sense for those who weren't working.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So everybody, whether you worked or you didn't, was given what's called a stimulus check. So about like $1,000 just to, to last you a few days. To be honest, because sometimes everything's so expensive here in New York. But then for those who weren't able to work, you apply online for like unemployment, and the government can help give you, basically money for being off because of coronavirus. So it helped a lot of people I know, and it helped, a lot of businesses as well for those who applied for it.
I've heard it in the news about that, like the stimulus check or the free money. It's very un-American, right? Because like
it's so
throughout your life, like America is always synonymous with you got to work your ass up to earn money, right? There's no handout. We're not gonna give you a handout. So like
exactly, we're all about capitalism, and then
then free
during
money.
this time, it's like here's free.
I don't know if you follow U.S. politics like closely, right? But there was a time when the Democratic primary was going on. There's this candidate called Andrew Yang. He ran on that platform, like giving people.
That's funny you mentioned it. Yeah,
free money. Like, but he wants to do it like every month and for the rest of their life, right?
Yeah, he called it
freedom dividend.
Yeah, that's what it was, and people looked at it. But look at it now. I mean, it's been working for a lot of people, but the reason, I mean, it does have a few drawbacks, but I understand why like Andrew Yang wanted to do it. I think he wanted to do it because he was gonna basically tax a lot of those social media companies for using our data, like we just talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
For smart search, using our data, tax them, and that's where the money's coming from.
Yeah, exactly. Because like the idea is that these companies earn money because of our data, right? Because they mine our data, they can personalize advertising, and that is the main revenue for them anyway, right? So that's why
pay somehow for using our data.
But yeah, it was interesting to follow him in the campaign trail because sometimes I do follow U.S. politics when it is interesting, like when Andrew Yang came up and made a name for himself. But then when things died down and you ended up with 2 people on 2 different parties, that people don't really want, and
Yeah,
and
of
like
course. That's just how it always is, man.
yeah,
Like,
and then it's like, all right,
you know, you have
time
these
to
interesting
time to
candidates that sometimes always
time to
run.
switch off
That,
from
yeah,
the
because
politics.
the thing is, if they're not getting full support from, you know, many banks or other big name companies such as like Coca-Cola,
There you
you know,
go.
it's hard to really continue your campaign. That's
Yeah,
the problem. But what they do is, if they end up dropping out, they basically show how they're supporting for another
yeah,
runner-up candidate, and then hopefully they get a job from them. You know, that's just how it works. It's been
yeah,
going on like that for years.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I was really excited in the beginning because for the Democratic Party, for instance, right, they started with the most diverse field of candidates, right? You have more women, more people of color. You know, you have Andrew Yang, you have Kamala Harris, and, you know, and all these people, and then they're dropping off like like flies. They started with like 100 candidates, and you ended up with this one guy, and like, oh, okay, so this is how it is, right? This is the reality of of politics. So like, to be honest, like I know how it felt because we had our elections last year, right? So I think you can say most Indonesian would share the same sentiment.
They experience the exact same thing.
Yeah, if nowadays Americans would say that, oh, we got presented with these two candidates from two parties that we don't really like, you know, and we have to choose the lesser of two evil and all that, you know.
Yeah, that
yeah,
was going around for a while.
yeah.
Lesser of
But yeah, you know, we share that sentiment. So
all right, that's good. It's on the same.
I like how we talk off tangent like this because I was supposed to ask about your music, and then we ended up going into like Big Brother and Corona. But like that's how podcasts was.
It's much more interesting than music, I guarantee you.
Yeah, let me get back to music a bit, right? Because would you consider yourself as a rapper? Because the type of music that you have, I don't know if it's R&B or if it's hip hop, because you know I get these terms mixed up every now and again, right? Because some say like you know, hip hop, R&B, and rap, they're not necessarily on the same level. You know, some say hip hop is like culture or something, and R&B is the music. But like, yeah, how would you consider the genre of your music?
You know what? I actually wouldn't categorize my music in a certain genre because, like, I don't know, to be honest. I'm just making music. And it's kind of sad that I have to categorize myself in a certain genre and stick with it, you know, to stick to a certain population. But for me, it's just like, I don't know, making music to me is like an art, you know?
Right.
And it's just creating. It's like when you ask someone, like, what type of food do you like, you know, and you say Italian food. Like, I'm not always going to be eating Italian food all the time, you know? Like, I'll eat American, I'll eat Indonesian, Chinese, Japanese, Malaysian food, whatever. But same with, like, music. It's like, if I just find something that I can create where it just sounds pleasant to the ears, then I'll stick with it. But for the meantime, yeah, I guess you can consider my my song "Make It Through" as rap, within the hip hop culture, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, R&B is something else that's different. If people get it mixed up, R&B stands for rhythm and blues. Right. It's a type of music where they kind of focus. So blues represents like the sadness. You know, it's songs about usually like breaking up or a certain type of, you know, chasing a girl or a guy. Yeah. You know, but that's what R&B is. But for me personally, again, I guess just rap for now. But like other music that I've been kind of making are kind of like in my head, like MGMT. I don't know if you know.
No. What is it?
Do you know? I don't know how to explain it.
Does it stand for something?
I actually don't know. That's what the band name is. MGMT.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like indie pop, I guess.
Right. Okay. Indie pop.
Yeah, stuff like that. I
All right.
guess
Okay.
I like making music like that as well. But it depends, honestly. It depends on the beat that I'm presented with. If I like a certain beat,
Mm.
I'll take it and then just add some lyrics, some nice lyrics on top of it, and that's it. You make music.
Nice. I definitely share the sentiment because the same here with podcasts, right? Because as the art grows and a lot more people are doing like podcasts, you are forced to segment yourself, right? To what
Right,
kind of podcast are you? Like, are you the interview kind of type of Joe Rogan type of podcast, or
right.
are you like a
It,
monologue
that's,
kind of guy?
so
And then,
when
uh,
my wife told me about, that you started this podcast, um, and I asked her like, like what I asked her. That was the first thing I asked her, like, what's the podcast about? You know?
yeah,
And then he just told me the name, Bosan di Jalan. And I was like, whoa, like that sounds great. Like I can already picture like you can talk about anything, you know? You don't have to tailor yourself just to
there you go.
one type of audience or anything, which is great.
Right. Amen, brother. Because that is exactly why I have this podcast, right? Because uh, I don't know about you guys over there in New York, but commuting time here in Jakarta, it's such a hellish experience, right? And you're
I
stuck in
remember.
traffic for like an hour or two, going back to work, and there was a period of time where uh, I just got bored of like radios and audiobooks, and I started listening to podcasts. But at that time, podcast wasn't really big locally here, so you don't really have enough collections for a daily commute, right? So
Right.
that's when I started like, let me start my own podcast and see if I can structure my thought, talk about things that I want to talk about during this journey to work and from work. That's what really the majority of the episode started with, right? Just myself doing monologues and taking like certain issues and topics that I wouldn't say big, but I would just say like, isn't it kind of funny that this happens? That kind of topic, right?
Oh
Just
yeah.
anything that's happened, and then for some people would think it that way, and then it's like, but if you think about it, right? Things like that. So
Current events.
yeah, sometimes I do that.
What's happening at the moment.
Sometimes I try to tackle it on a different point of view kind of thing, because a lot of things that like current events that happen here, it's always like a one-sided opinion. If you're hating on one person because this person made a mistake or whatever, everyone will be hating on that person, right? So
Yeah.
what I try to do is try to see the other side of it, right? Like this one time, like everyone was like hating on this I wouldn't say like a government, but like a government personnel, I
Official.
would say. Yeah, I don't know what's the equivalent in U.S. politics, but yeah, let's say a government personnel, right?
Yeah.
He did something stupid. Everyone hated on him, but then I tried to look at it from like a different perspective, right? Trying to see the funny side of it, but sometimes, but like okay, what happened was like this person tried to use like government influence to exert his own business to like government programs, right?
For his own benefit, right?
Yeah, for his benefit. And he got bashed. He got a lot of hate, mainly because he's like a millennial. People put a lot of hope on him and a few of them. But then, if you think about it, right, these things happen quite a lot in Indonesian government. Older politicians and government officials have been doing this for years, right? They have used government influence to get ahead in their business, right? So why, when a millennial government personnel did it, it's such a bad thing and everyone hating on him. But then when some other guys do it, like we just threw a blind eye and it's like, yeah,
Mm.
this happens all the time. Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Just because
Wait.
that older person doesn't have a Twitter account to hate on.
Yeah. But when you say what do you mean by millennial? You saying like he's a young guy?
Yeah. I mean, not that young. I mean, he's, I don't know, 30-ish. I mean, that's your definition of
Oh,
millennials,
okay.
right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
he's pretty young and is pretty new in government and politics, right? And at the beginning, a lot of people put a lot of hope because like, oh, he's so young, he's gonna revolutionize the country and
Do you
lift us
think
out of.
like the media and the news has a big influence on who they decide to, like target, you know, like you said, a lot of government officials have been doing this for years,
Yeah,
but everyone turns a blind eye. But then when this guy does it, it's like, is it the media and like the news that's attacking him, which kind of influence the people?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, media influence plus like people's expectation equals like mob anger.
Oh, you're right.
Just like social media anger, right? So yeah, so that's one thing, right? And then look into like other things that maybe Indonesians find it normal, but I find it weird and pointless. I mean, like one of the first things I talk about was here when people are getting married, they have a lot of bridesmaids, right? But they don't really do anything. Like compared to like if you have an American wedding or European wedding, okay, sure you have best mans and bridesmaids, right? But they help you organize the thing, right? They help pick up, I don't know, flowers, cakes, whatever. But bridesmaids, they don't do shit. But instead you have to give them like uniforms and shit, and like from your side you spend money to give them like clothing, right? But and then from their side they don't actually want your clothing because I'm pretty sure they can afford better, right? And they're gonna wear it one time and then they're not gonna wear it anymore. And so why do we have this? Like it's not even part of our traditional wedding structure. There's no bridesmaid and like a traditional Japanese or Indonesian wedding. Right? So if you want to have bridesmaid or best man or groomsman, put them to work, man. Because like otherwise, like don't have it.
Yeah, I remember seeing like even like some of my cousins in Indonesia getting married, and they had maybe 12 bridesmaids.
Yeah,
or like, and I was like, what? That's a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
right.
think they have 12 close friends.
And then
you know,
bridesmaid actually became like another definition of just basically friends that you hang out with, and then you just want to have an exclusive gang. Like I was like, do we really need this?
It also comes with guilt a little bit, right? Because it's like if you have this person as a bridesmaid, you got to have this other person because within the same clique, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you just ended up with a group of people that you don't really want because you just want this one person, but because of you have to kind of protect everyone's feelings and thoughts that you ended up having like 50 bridesmaids. Right, there you go.
Yeah, here in America, it's like the bridesmaids or the groomsmen are usually like your really closest friends. You know, like how they divide it is like with the man, you have your best man, who can be like your brother if you're really close, or your really closest friend. You hear those popping noises?
What is that about?
Those are fireworks. So we're gonna go a little off topic, but fireworks have been flying throughout.
What? Fireworks? Why?
I don't understand. I don't know, but it's crazy. Like it's not even our Independence Day yet.
What's to celebrate? I mean,
that's what. It's a big conspiracy going on. Maybe we can touch onto this. But with all the looting and rioting that's been going on, and the whole Black Lives Matter. There's been conspiracies right now with these people getting these big fireworks, these professional fireworks, and they're just flying it throughout the night. But it's not going on like just today or yesterday. It's been going on for weeks already.
Really?
And people are so confused. Like, where are these kids getting these professional fireworks from?
Wow.
And it's just sometimes they pop. Right now it's 10:27 in the night. Another one is going to go off in the next hour or so, and another few are going to go off at 3 in the morning when you're sleeping.
Wow!
But it's kind of crazy. I don't know. It's just doesn't make sense. A lot of stuff has been going on here in New York. That's for sure.
It's really weird. You want to blame it on Antifa?
I'm not for either what's called the right side or the left side. I personally, I'm called like a moderate. I'm kind of in the middle. I have views on both, and depending on whoever's running, whoever has a better view, I kind of lean towards it. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so like the right are blaming the left are blaming the right. So you're gonna have both views with the fireworks fireworks as well. you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny you mention that because I do consider myself as a centrist as well, or more of a leaning centrist. That means like, I'm leaning towards one side, right, than the other, but
Mhm.
still within the moderate spectrum, right? But again, back to the media portrayals, they portray a very extreme minority from both left and right, right?
Yeah.
So that happens in the US. That also happens here in Indonesia, despite the fact that most of us are actually moderates, right?
Mhm.
If you talk to people, they're pretty chill about it. I mean, like, you might see heated debates in CNN or Fox News, or even back here, we have our own version of those two, right? And they would have heated debates, and then Twitter will be on fire responding
Yeah.
to it, right? But most of us don't really care. We don't go to that extreme. We just want, just make sure nothing burns down after the election. Just make sure there's no no weird thing going on. It's like, then we'll select
No, I
whatever
understand. Yeah, I
makes
think
sense.
that's just a tactic, that like propaganda and literature uses. It's called like divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
you won't target the news has to present a certain type of message, and they're not going to present it by giving a message to the moderates. It kind of drifts your way of thinking just to keep it far left or far right, and you make your decisions from there. And it's messed up, but that's just the way it works. But yeah, I'm on the same boat, man. Like, just leave me and my family alone. Don't burn anything down.
Yeah. And that is kind of why I stopped tuning into these TVs, right? Especially these,
A little bit annoying.
yeah,
Yeah.
because these are what you call like partisan TVs, right? So you can tell they're definitely leaning towards a certain side, and they're propagating news that reflects that side, right? And I actually realized this quite recently, because I wasn't like this the whole time. So there was a time where I was very into one side of the spectrum because of the media bias, right?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. The election here that we had last year really had a big impact on me. Even though, like, despite how it turned out, how heated it got, but I learned a lot of things, especially in like how you view politics. Because a lot of us, like, especially like my old self and most people as well here, you see politics as like, a 1v1 situation where, you have to beat them, you have to defeat the enemy, the evil side of it's all about, you have to destroy the Death Star and just like Darth Vader and everything, right? But it turns out, like, if you really dive into it, you realize, like, politicians are very close with each other, despite being in two different parties, despite running against each other. They're pretty close. They're pretty chilled out. And it's just us on the ground on social media being like so heated up, like supporting this one guy. Like, he's like the patron saint that gonna help us from poverty. That's always like the narrative, right?
Yeah.
Then, once you opted out from that spectrum, from that bubble of that, of that bias bubble, you realize that, like, all right, so there are flaws on both sides, right? There are good things on both sides. There are flaws on both sides, and then, so yeah, just be chill about it, like, because I remember the time when, if you talk about like one candidate, they'll be like, oh, so you don't like this candidate, so you're against this religion, or so you're against this ethnic
Yeah.
group. Like, wait, hold on. All I said was like, maybe I'm not so sure about this guy. That's all I said. And then everyone just jumped in. I was like, oh, you hate this religion or everything. And I was like, wait, like, calm
They
down.
will jump to assumptions and
Calm down.
overgeneralize.
Yeah, because
That's just how people are sometimes.
yeah,
It's better not to even give your views sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I was pretty vocal in previous elections, right? So, well, when this election came down last year, I was pretty, I wasn't as vocal as before. So I really tried to hold back, whatever thoughts, and like I tried to bring like a a centrist perspective, it's weird how like if you're campaigning for someone, right? Okay, let's use Andrew Yang as an example, right? So if you support Andrew Yang, obviously you would go around people who don't know Andrew Yang, trying to introduce him and say good things about him, right? And see if that person will be interested to support and vote for him, right? That is okay, right? But then when that other person said like, maybe I don't really agree with his value, maybe I don't want to vote for him, and then your response shouldn't be like, oh, so you're an evil guy, huh? You don't want to support our holy guy that's gonna save us from poverty, right? So you're an evil guy, huh? So you support evil. It's like, wait, hold on, how are you gonna get votes if you go around and just accusing people of things, right?
That's a bad tactic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't talk about politics, right? Just imagine you have a business, right? You sell water bottles, for example, right? And then you want people to buy your water bottles, right? You say like, hey, this water bottle is really good. You want to buy it, right? And it's like, no, I have a different preference. I don't want to buy this water bottle. Like, oh, so you're evil, right? So that's just the same theory. You can put it in politics as well, because politics and election is all about like marketing and selling the idea, right? So
I think what it is with those kind of people is that they keep their emotions tied with the politics as well, which is why they outlash like that. And that's not the best way to do it. If you want to have a political debate, have it maturely and keep the emotions at the door.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think emotion really ruin a lot of things in politics. So if you want to go into politics, just treat it as like Tinder. Don't bring emotion to it. Just you have to do the job, get in and get out, man. Just do the job and get in and get out. That's it.
Thank you udah dengerin podcast Bosan di Jalan bareng gue Ram. Gua mau ngucapin terima kasih sama Craving For yang udah support gue di podcast ini. Craving For is the taste you'll never forget, the sin you'll never regret. Mereka ini punya koleksi dessert box beragam yang pastinya bakal bikin kamu ketagihan. Ada coklat mousse cake, tiramisu, dan personal favorite gua nih, cinnamon rolls. Jadi, buruan aja cek Instagram mereka di @craving4.id, sekali lagi di @craving4.id. DM mereka untuk pemesanan. Craving For, the taste you'll never forget, the sin you'll never regret.